Hey y'all, it's Linnell. I am coming to you from my home city of New Orleans. Hey! So, yep, I got here August 25th. I'm leaving tomorrow, September 8th, getting on Carnival Liberty. Wait, yep. September 8th, Carnival Liberty. I had lost track of the dates. Yep, September 8th, Carnival Liberty for 7 days, 3 7-day cruises. I'll be on for 3 weeks, so back to back to back. But yeah, so today we are going to get into my expenses from last month. And y'all, I've been buying up stuff and I went over budget. I'm just going, it's spoiler alert. I went over budget, spoiler alert. Yeah, but I ain't mad about it. And when you see why, you will understand. So let's get into the numbers. Numbers. Where the accountants at? Numbers. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. I'm Linnell. I am a full-time solo cruiser traveling on cruise ships for the next year to, well, actually for the next 18 months now. So I started full-time cruising July of 2024, and I plan to cruise full-time until November of 2025 and beyond, if possible, if this continues to go. So we'll see how it works. So today I want to bring you my August expenses. Let's see where we are today. We're going to talk about how much does living on a cruise ship cost, my budget and my expenses. And what I was not planning to do was share my income. So I'm living off of my savings right now, and I was planning to, if the YouTube algorithm does what it should do, I was expecting to be, what's that word called? I'm so new to this. Monetized. I was expecting to be monetized in 6 to 12 months, and then maybe after 24 months, maybe start replacing some of the money that I'm taking out of my savings to live on and keep my savings separate. If not, that's fine. I have enough savings to last me through my retirement. So whether I make money on YouTube or not, I'm still going to do this thing. But having a little extra income doesn't hurt. And I was very surprised that I was actually monetized in August. So yay. So I started cruising in March. I started full-time cruising in July. Before I started full-time cruising, I started making videos in June. And 2 months later, I've already been monetized. So I wanted to share that with you all. And going forward, if that's something that people want to hear about, I don't mind sharing the revenue that I've made so far. I just got monetized, I believe it was on August 25th that I got monetized. And so from August 25th to the end of August, the revenue that came in was $333. That's $333 that I was not anticipating. So yay, thank you all for watching and subscribing and participating in the comments and doing what you do. I'm pleasantly surprised and not overwhelmed though, because I know this could go to zero tomorrow. So we'll just see how it goes. All right, what you came to see. What are my expenses for August? So in August, I took, how many cruises did I take? 4 cruises. I took 3 back-to-back cruises on Grandeur of the Seas, and then I took 2 days off in a hotel while I wait to get on Carnival Paradise. And then Carnival Paradise, I was on that ship for 5 days, and then I came here to New Orleans. So we'll get into all the specifics as we go along. I have some slides, as you would expect an accountant to have. So I'm going to go through these slides, and as usual, if you have any comments or questions, leave them below. All right, so let's look at the numbers. So my first cruise that I took, my last video that I did regarding the expenses was from the 4th of July when I started to August 3rd. And now I'm going to start here where we left off, which is August 3rd, where I got on Grandeur of the Seas. That 5-night cruise, as you can see, it was a free cruise. And I did only have to pay the taxes, fees, and port expenses. And that was $116.63. Now, while I was on that cruise, I did have some expenses. I do pay all of the gratuities, which for Royal Caribbean, it's $18 per day per person, and for Carnival, it's $16 per day per person. So you can see here on August 3rd, I had my gratuities, which were $18 per day for the 5 days. And I also went to, yeah, I'm getting addicted to the ice cream at Cafe Latitudes. I'm trying to stay away from it, but I think I've gone to it every cruise, at least once, every Royal Caribbean cruise. So it's $3 for a scoop, and then they tack on gratuities, so it's $3.54. And then on this cruise, I was sick, and I normally don't order a room service because I am trying to find paradise on a budget. So I try to limit all of the extras that I do, and I don't really get room service except for the free room service that they offer, which for Royal Caribbean is breakfast. And for this cruise, I did because I was sick and I did not feel like going out. But my total that I ended up spending was $102.92, in addition to the cruise fare itself. The cruise fare was free, in addition to the taxes and fees. So that is what I spent for that cruise. Moving on to the next slide. So now my next cruise was August 8th. That was a 4-night cruise. As you can see, I spent $88.74 on the taxes and port fees, and the cruise itself was free. For that 4 days, I spent $257.17. The gratuities, again, I always pay those on all my cruises, so it was $18 per day. My ice cream, again, $3.54. I did need the internet because even though I get one free day of internet because I'm Diamond on Royal Caribbean, I did also purchase the internet one day, and I do get a discount. I think the regular price is $35 a day, but I do get a discount because of my status. And then I was not able to get my nails done on land, even though I was in Tampa for almost 6 weeks, almost 2 months. So for this cruise, $257.17. And then for the cruise portion itself, I am going to include the gratuities and the ice cream because we'll see later. All right, next cruise, Grandeur of the Seas, a 5-night, August 12th, was also a free cruise. The port fees and taxes were $102.44. Out-of-pocket expenses were $152.54. I did do a shore excursion August 12th. I want to say that one was Merida. Had my onboard gratuities, $18 a day, and then my ice cream again. Yeah, then I wonder why my glucose level was too high. I know, I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna get better. After those 3 cruises, like I said, I had 2 days where I was waiting for the next ship. So got off on the 17th, was getting on Carnival Paradise on August 19th. So I did stay at my usual Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Ybor City, Tampa. I did use my IHG points. Some of my points I got free, some of my points I purchased. So the point values to me is a half a cent for IHG points. So that cost me $46,000 for those 2 nights, which comes to a value of $230. Then I got on my next cruise, August 19th, Carnival Paradise, which was 5 days. As you can see, this is what Carnival considers their free cruises. I explained in my initial video, my very first video that I made, I explained how their free cruises they're free, but you have to pay $200 cruise rate, which they give you the $200 back in onboard credits. So that was a total of $350.65 when you include the taxes and the port fees. Along with that cruise, this was way back in May, I think, when I booked it. No, I booked the cruise in March, but when I was going over all of my itinerary and stuff later on in May, I knew that I was going to be flying over here to New Orleans, so I booked a shuttle to the. First, I booked the flight, and then I booked the shuttle. Excuse me. So that was that expense. And then my receipt from that cruise came out very blurry. So let me show you a little close up here. And I actually had quite a few expenses. When I first got on, I was thinking I got $200 onboard credit. I ain't buying nothing. I'm gonna use that in the casino. And this was my first free Carnival cruise. So I was really trying to learn their system, try to understand their casino, how much points you can get, how much points do you need to get for the free cruises. And then with the gratuities, which was $16 per day, that was $80. That was my $200. Well, then later I started buying some other stuff that I wasn't expecting. Y'all, they got crabs. I don't think I ever been on a cruise ship that had garlic crabs. I mean, seriously though. And then it didn't just come with the crabs. I'm gonna show a picture. I don't remember, but them crabs was so good. If y'all know anything about me and this New Orleans roots, um, we love crabs and we get excited. Oh, anyway, yeah. Let me stop. With the crabs, they got me. I don't get free drinks on Carnival ships unless I'm in the casino. And when I saw that ship tour, y'all, they got me for a $60 bottle of water. I'm gonna explain more about that later. But anyway, once I realized they got me for a $60 bottle of water, I'm like, never again. But I did buy a bar drink that was, I think he told me that drink was $9, but as you can see, it was $10.92. Forgetting that they automatically add gratuities whenever you get something like that. I also bought a little shark cup for one of my grandsons. I think it was $12. I don't remember the exact amount, but I remember seeing a higher amount on the receipt. And then I did get internet one day because I didn't get free internet with them at all, and I wanted to upload a YouTube video. So once I added those other expenses, the total expenses was $306.69. Again, I did have my $200 onboard credit, but they had taken out $24.99 of that for the airport shuttle, which again, I booked that in advance. And so I only had $175.01. And then they also, I have no idea what they did it for, but they gave me a refund of the, what is that? Refund taxes, fees, and port expenses. So I don't know if one of the port fees was they overcharged and they gave a discount, or they estimated and the actual port fees when they calculated it to Bimini or wherever we went to was actually lower. But anyway, that credit was in there. So out of pocket was $117.01 because in my final calculations, I try to separate my cruise expenses from my miscellaneous expenses. I just decided I'm going to put this $117.01. I'm just going to say in my final expenses that I spent $120 on the casino, because that's not something that I would normally spend on my regular cruise travel expenses. So if I am going to go in the casino, that's going to come out of my miscellaneous play money, spending money, whatever. So I'm going to consider all of the rest of that just a part of the cruise. The seafood that I had, the drink that I had, the internet, and the shark cup. And of course the gratuities. So moving on, after I left the ship, I did go to the airport and I caught a flight. On the screen, you can see I have 48,648 points. When after I took my first flight with Spirit, I got their credit card when I was on the plane, and they gave us a free $50,000 points. And then if you signed up right there on the plane, you got another 5,000 points. So my flight itself was actually free, and I used 18,500 points for it. The government's cut, so you have to pay the taxes even if you use points. So that's $5.60, and I actually had to pay $100 for my checked luggage. So out of pocket for that flight from Tampa to New Orleans was $105.60. On the next slide, I'm not going to talk about this too much because it's where I'm at now. The Marquis Hotel is actually a timeshare, and I am an accountant. I am also a recovering extreme couponer. You know, the type that will go in the grocery store, have a notebook this thick, come out with a cart full of groceries that you would probably pay $400 for. Back then it was probably $100, $200 worth of groceries, and don't pay any money for them. That was me. And I was in Orlando, and they had the Orlando Sentinel newspaper where I could get it for free. So I had unlimited amount of coupons that I could get. So I'm used to coupons. As you know, I'm an accountant, so I already have a mind for numbers. Other than that, unless you are really savvy with that, I highly do not recommend timeshares for anyone. But I was able to work the system where I've had this timeshare since 2013. And I've definitely, over those 11 years, paid way less for my hotel stays, my travel, than I would have if I would have paid for regular hotels. Regular people, don't sign up for them timeshares. Don't even go if you have no self-control. I probably went to 100 of them. of the presentations where they make you sit for an hour and you get 150 bucks. Listen, I ain't never made 150 bucks an hour. I can sit here for 60 minutes and sometimes it runs to 90 minutes, right? For 150, 200 bucks for a free hotel stay plus a gift card for 150 bucks. I can do that all day. Everybody can't do that. So again, I'm not going to talk too much about timeshares, but this is a timeshare that this is going to be my last year doing it because I had way more expenses before I was doing this. So I had way more credit card reward points, and I was able to cover all of my maintenance fees, which is something that people don't realize when they sign up for timeshares. I was able to pay all of my maintenance fees with reward points. So I basically my initial expense for the timeshare itself was paying for the actual rooms over time, but that covered all of my hotel stays for probably the first 3 or 4 years. But I continued to have it, and the only expense I've had was the maintenance fees, and again, that's covered by my credit card reward points. So my hotel stay here, I'm only going to count from August 25th when I got here to August 31st, and then the rest of it you'll see where I had to pay $200. I'll explain that in September, but the rest of from September 1st on, I'm going to include that in my September update. But you can see here, I just put a screenshot in here for the naysayers, basically. Somebody's going to be in the comments, oh, you wasted a lot of money, blah, 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 blah. Listen, if you come here for that, nobody's going to see your comment. I can promise you that. Nobody's going to see your comment but me, and then we're going to move forward. So, hello. Hey. Hi. Just making a video, so I hope y'all don't mind, but you're good. So, yeah, my resort stay here is free. I am not going to make a video about the resort because I'm not going to promote timeshares, and you won't be able to stay in this hotel unless you have the timeshare. So that won't do you any good for me to review this hotel. I will put a little footage in this video so you can see, what type of place I was staying and what it looks like. But you can look it up online. They have pictures and descriptions about it. So yeah, free. Have a good day. See you later. This portion of it was free with credit card rewards all the way up to from August 25th to September 6th. And then these last 2 days I had to pay. All right, so moving on. Now that you know where I have stayed at in the last 28 days, I have a list of all my expenses. These are all my travel expenses. And when I say my travel expenses, I am only talking about my travel as far as my cruise fare, my taxes and port fees, my gratuities, and any food or hotel that I am purchasing. Because there'll be sometimes when I'm on the cruises that's going to go more than a month, right? So like when I leave New Orleans, I'm going over to a ship where I'm going to be on it for 60 days, right? There's not going to be any hotels, any out-of-pocket expenses for food and things like that. So all of that is considered my travel. So when I do have to have a layover, stop in a hotel or at the airport, or purchase my own food, like when I'm here I had to buy groceries, I'm going to include that as a part of my travel. Anything outside of that I'm putting as a miscellaneous. So my cell phone, when I go on excursions, when I purchase, I say souvenirs, but really it's gifts for the grandkids, right? Because I'm going to spoil them no matter what part of the world I'm in. That kind of stuff is all going to be separate. But for the travel, y'all, I was filming on my GoPro, and I'm trying to learn a new technique because I saw some other YouTubers film themselves from the side. So I'm also filming on my cell phone, this camera, where the GoPro is right here, which I was looking into. And I noticed that the red dot was gone. And it is not coming on. So what I think happened is, I think the battery stopped. Hello. Who that again?
Who that? What you doing out here?
I'm filming. What you doing out here? Y'all taking a tour?
Yeah.
Oh, you work here. He's taking a tour. Or stop in a hotel or at the airport or purchase my own food. Like when I'm here, I had to buy groceries. I'm going to include that as a part of my travel. Anything outside of that, I'm putting as a miscellaneous. So my cell phone, when I go on excursions, when I purchase, I say souvenirs, but really it's gifts for the grandkids, right? Because I'm gonna spoil them no matter what part of the world I'm in. That kind of stuff is all gonna be separate. But for the travel, my total expenses was $1,505 this month. And I have another slide I'll show you where I'm gonna compare what it was last month and how I'm doing as far as my goal. So you can see all of my expenses here. The cruises portion, the cruises, when I say cruises, I'm talking about the cruise fare itself, the port fees and taxes, whenever I tip the porters, the gratuities, all of that kind of stuff is going to be included in the cruises. The hotels, when I'm staying at a hotel, actually I'm looking at this number here, 230. I need to adjust that. But anyway, I usually will include, if I leave a tip for the, what do you call them, housekeepers. Whenever the guy from the shuttle comes to pick me up, I had 2 bags, so I'll give $2 for each bag, so $4, which you saw last month. But I didn't pick that up here, so probably gonna edit this part out. And if not, I'm just saying it in case I don't feel like editing it out. editing it out. I might have those expenses in the wrong category, but they are listed here. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at the screen now. I'm not going to edit it out. For some reason, I put those in transportation. So it's still in this number. I just normally would have put it under hotel. I don't know why I put it in transportation this time. But, I mean, you see here how much I spent for food, $240, and transportation, $193. So, yeah, it looks like every time I took an Uber, when I was here, and I bought a bus pass for a day, which was $3. When I had tips for the different shuttles and the Uber people, and then of course my airline, my flight with Spirit Airlines, $105. So total expenses, $1,505 for 28 days, and I am at $54 per day. So I'm within my $65 per day budget. But if you remember from last month, I was over, so this makes up for it somewhat, and we'll go over that in a sec. The next slide here shows you all of my expenses. So those expenses that I just showed on the previous slide, plus everything else. So when I got off the ship to buy some hand lotion at Publix, when I went to McDonald's, when I was staying in the hotel, when I, well actually that's included in the cruise. When I, let's see what else is something that's not normal. When I went to Circle K and bought, in Merida, and bought some gifts for the grandkids, so that was $34. Let's see here. When I shipped my large suitcase back to my daughter, that was $174. So everything is here. My healthcare, my dental, my Netflix are towards the end, so those kind of stand out of what those expenses are. And then the final slide here, well I have one more after this, but this slide here is pretty busy, so I'm going to go over each little area one at a time. So the first one on the left, that is a copy of what we just saw above, the 1,505, and then this pie chart here just gives me a visual of where most of my money is going to, which was the cruises, which was more than half of that 1,505, so 842 was the actual cruises themselves, 230 for the hotels, 193 for transportation, and food 240. So an average of about 200, 215, 220 for those 3 categories, whereas most of the rest was the cruises themselves. Moving over towards the middle, that says the total monthly expenses, where you see encircled in purple and has the yellow background. You see all of those 4 expenses, the cruises, the food, transportation, hotels, but then you see my other miscellaneous category. So I have my fixed expenses, the 145, which my fixed expenses are the ones that, the expenses that are not going to change. My healthcare, my dental, my cell phone, my Netflix. And then miscellaneous other, y'all can see I went more than double. This month, 1,083. I did a little bit good last month, under 500, but this month I went way over budget, so not proud of that. But again, I'm going to be on some cruises where I'm not going to have the out-of-pocket expenses that I had here, but I'm comfortable with this number because I'm going to show you in the very last slide that I have what really bumped that number up. So my total budget for the month was $2,500, $2,000 for my travel goal, and $500 for my miscellaneous. So as you can see, I went over $233. If I move up to the middle chart that says MOM comparison, so that is my month over month comparing my travel expenses only. For July, my travel expenses, as I said, or if you saw that video, I went over, it was $2,031 last month, and then this month I was under, so $1,505, so a difference of 526. And as you can see, the cruises was pretty much about the same, just a 9% decrease, just based on the cruises that I was on and how much the port fees and taxes, because all of those cruises were free. And then the hotels, you can see, is a big difference. So I was on the cruise ships more this time, so I had less hotels, and plus this hotel is free. So $791 in July for hotels and $230 this month for hotels. So big decrease there, almost $600. Transportation went up. Ubers and everything, tips was about the same, but that $106 flight compared to last month where I only had a $25 bus ride was the biggest factor there. And then food was almost the same, out-of-pocket food I should say. Moving over to the right, you can see I'm going to start keeping a tally of my expenses for the year. Hopefully by the end of the year, I should only have $24,000. That is my goal for my travel expenses, an average of $2,000 a month. Right now, I am below my monthly average of $2,000, so I would normally be at $4,000. But because this month was really, really low, I only have a year-to-date total of $3,500. And as I said before, I have met this month. Last month I didn't, I went over. This month I am below my goal of $65 a day for the travel goal, which is $54. And then the only other thing that I want to point out is the outliers for that 1,000. Uh-oh. Time stopped. What happened? Yep, just like I thought. Alrighty, let me see where it left off at. Alright, I got my microphone working. Let me make sure. Yep, it says it's working. It ain't plugged in though. Really? Oh my God. All right, this might be a mixture of cell phone and GoPro videos, y'all. Cause Linnell just had this brilliant idea to film out here in New Orleans outside, cause she didn't want to sit in her room. And this is one of the few days where you see it's overcast. It did rain a little bit, but this was one of the few days where it didn't pour down raining. So I'm at the end, hopefully. I'm at the end, at least for the cell phone, right? So I'm not sure what the audio is like on the cell phone, but at least I'm at the end. So let me finish this up. So where I left off was, is this thing working? There we go. Where I left off was the things that made my miscellaneous budget go, my miscellaneous expenses go up so much, way above my budget. So we're over almost $600 above, no, 700, because when you add in the 145 plus the 1,083, so that's like $1,200. So I'm like $700 more than I was on my miscellaneous expenses for last month, right? So the things that made that go up, I'm comfortable with. So one of the things was my excursion. I don't usually pay for an excursion. That's not something that I plan to do every time I take a cruise. Another thing that is not a regular Another thing that's not a regular expense for me is the $120 that I spent in the casino. There will be times when I go in the casino, but that's usually few and far between, because now that I live on the ships, I'm going to be doing like when I lived on land. I'm only going to be going to the casino holidays or special occasion, or I just get the unction to do it. I cannot go to the casino every cruise. There's no way. I would be broke. I'll be broke in a hot minute. I went to the Saints game. I paid $100 for a ticket. It was my first time in the Superdome. I know my team sucks. I know it was just a preseason game. I know that game didn't count. And on top of that, we lost. I'm still the happiest camper in the world that I finally got to go to a Saints game in the Superdome. I shipped that large suitcase so I could go carry on only 175, which in the long run, that's going to save me some money. Let me see. I also bought that 22-buck weekender bag for as an option. I thought I might use that instead of my backpack. And once I decided I'm going to go backpack only, I set that bag back with my large suitcase with the family. So I do still have that bag. And what else? Okay. So the other expense that's on here that I would not normally have is Exodus Summit. And not to offend anyone, but if there are any black women who are watching this channel and you are looking to leave the United States, the Exodus Summit, just how it's written there, you can Google that and find them on YouTube or Facebook. And they are a group of over 18,000 women, and the Exodus Summit teaches, helps coordinate, has seminars. As a matter of fact, one is coming up, which is what I signed up for in October. Every year they have a annual event where they help black women navigate either taking sabbaticals, doing house sits, leaving the United States, which is why it's called Exodus, right? Because we're exiting the United States. But exit the United States. So I do highly encourage black women, and I'm saying black women because they only allow black women in their group. I'm not prejudiced or saying, white folks or men or whoever can't, be involved in this type of stuff, but that group, that's what their focus is, and that is what that $89 is for. So I do encourage you, if you're looking into taking a sabbatical, leaving the United States, traveling more, then check them out and see if that's something that you would like to learn from. And then, of course, my other expenses that I have here all encapsulate that $2,500. But as far as me going over the $2,500, these items that are here in red are the things that kind of brought me over my target budget of $500 for the miscellaneous. And again, I needed all of these things. I really wanted to go to Merida. That was definitely well worth the money. Doing the casino hopefully was worth the money. The Saints game definitely worth the money. Sending the luggage back, getting the personal bag, and the Exodus Summit that's coming up. All of those, I do not regret any of my expenses. Probably the only expense that I regret is those ice cream, those $3 ice cream scoops. I'm gonna try and do better, y'all. And I'm not going on Royal Caribbean for a while, so I think I might be okay. With that said, I think that is it. I think we did it, y'all. That is all of my expenses for August. If you have any questions, or if you saw something in a video earlier and you're like, well, why didn't she include that expense? It's probably because I forgot. I tried to keep a log of everything. I try to keep all the receipts. I try to log them in Excel as I have the expense. I might have missed something. I think I have everything. I was thinking I missed the braids from Cozumel, but that was over in my July expenses. And I did, in my July expenses, I did miss the $18 that I paid to learn to play blackjack. So I included that on the first line here in my expenses. So I might have missed something. Again, leave that in the comment for me if you have any questions about any of my expenses, or why I did something or why I don't do something. I am trying to be as transparent as I can without overdoing, without crossing any lines. So I'll do my best to be as transparent as I can regarding any of this or any of my videos, really. But of course, some things do have to be kept, personal. But ask away. I'm introvert, but I'm not shy, if that makes a difference to some people. So yeah, ask away. If I feel uncomfortable or that's not something I want to answer, then I'll just let you know in the comments. That's not something I'm ready to discuss, or that's something I'll discuss later, or who knows, I might just answer it for you and surprise you. But I think that's it. So All right, y'all. That's it for today. As usual, if you have any comments or questions, leave them below and I will answer them when I am back on land. Until then, see y'all later.